Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
No words. There are no words to describe how beautiful she is, or how special she is, or my love for her. To put these things into words would be to define them, to quantify them, which means to limit them. There would be a beginning and an end. There's no definition fitting, nor any limit, nor beginning or end to her beauty, or to how special she is, or my love for her.
What did you say?
Barbada Sikret.
What?
Barbada Sikret.
Well, mother sick. Well, mother sick. Pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening to this sultry voice, welcome to another episode of Well, Mother Sick, right here on the Original People Podcast Network. This is your host, Lord Jalen Willard, bringing you another episode of my long rant, 20 to 30 minute rants or soliloquies. If you want to sponsor this program, please email us at the Original People Podcast Network. Well, actually, it's the Original People Network at gmail.com, or DM us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the Original People Network. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel to see our latest content. We're wrapping up the year. We have a couple more episodes. This show, we have a couple more episodes every cool. We're also on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, all your favorite DSPs. Follow us on there, like, share, subscribe, all that content. And, we're just trying to make a difference in the world. So how do I begin this episode? As you can see the topic. And as a male, I feel like, enough is enough. In recent, probably over the last 10 years, but just recently, just hearing so many different stories, I feel like, I gotta speak up from a male's perspective and speak out against certain behaviors. I don't even know where to start with this, but I just put in my 2 cents. I would say, through the course of my adulthood, I've come across at least 40 to 50 women that I know personally that have suffered some trauma from being sexually assaulted, sexually abused, raped, molested at some point of their lives, whether it be them as children or all the way to their adulthood. And, having these conversations with them, I internalize their pain. I feel their pain. I can never understand for what they have been through and the trauma that has left them. But the other thing I can't understand is why men, me being a man, would go ahead and take advantage of a woman in her vulnerable state, not knowing the repercussions of my action will traumatize this woman for the rest of her life, just for me to have some instant gratification. I don't get it. And, just to hear the stories for various You know, women that have been in my life for a long time, whether they be friends or even women that I've dated, it just saddens me. You know, I don't understand it because it's like, why? Like, why you had to take advantage of this woman? Like, we as men, I feel like we've been placed on the earth to be protectors, to be leaders. You know, once we get married in our various homes, and just to be leaders in the family social dynamic. We were put there to protect our women. But why do we abuse and hurt our women? Why we don't respect her boundaries? Why we don't take no as no? You know? Because for me, I think it's so selfish. Just for you to just have some gratification, or, you know, take advantage of someone that you feel like you're more physically imposing on, you know, and just violating them. It's despicable. Because it's like, you know, that's just so uncalled for. I really don't get it. Just because, and even in the situations where older men are molesting little children, that's even more devious to me. Like, why? What's wrong with you? Why would you take the innocence? And even in situations, why would you violate using, because you feel like you're stronger, or feel like, you know, the woman isn't equal to you? Why would you violate her mind, body, and spirit that way? And you claim that you say you love women, but your actions don't say that you love women. Your actions just say you just see women as a tool for you to get pleasure, and that's wrong. I'm saying that's wrong. You know, the way how we have been conditioned and raised to view women is so wrong. I mean, it's even more than wrong. It's criminal to feel like, you know, that you shouldn't respect her boundaries. You know, she's not asking. If she tells you no, no means no. And you should be fine with it. You should respect her for that. But you going out your way because you feel some urge, some archaic urge, some lustful feeling, and you go ahead and violate her body just so you can feel, not even no, but it's this good feeling in glass, like 1 or 2 minutes, and just for you they go and do that. Like, you know, I cry shame on you. You don't know real man. You just a boy in a grown man's body, to be honest. More than honest. Because, you know, men don't do that. Real men don't do that. You know? Real men understand that women, grown, consenting women first, because you shouldn't even be contemplating, thinking of any little girl or any child to begin with. So let's start with grown, consenting women, 18 and over. Not preying on little children first, sickos. The consenting woman. Let's start with her first. So, if you would understand that if a woman wants to be involved with you, her energy will let you know, and she has a mind and a mouth to tell you, yes, you can make such advances if she so choose to, proceed and having relations with you. But because she's dressed in a certain manner, or you interpret her actions in a certain manner, does not give you a right to her body. And we men have to understand. I know we have been socialized to where, this whole strip club culture and, everywhere sex, to feel like, oh, if she's dressed in a certain way, or she looking at me a certain way, or if I put her in a certain kind of situation, yeah, she must acquiesce to my requests and my wants. But that sort of thinking is so self-serving. And we have to get out that way of thinking, because one day we have to realize that we too will have daughters. And we too already have mothers, and we have aunts, and we have sisters, and cousins that are women, and other, probably we have some, if, we have female friends. You wouldn't want someone to treat the women that you care for and love and that's in your life as such, but why would you go out your way and do the same with women that you don't know? You wouldn't like for someone else to do it to the women that you love. I don't get it. Because it's like, how can we proceed in a world where most of our women are suffering from ills and trauma from our past? How's that going to impact the children that we want to create with them? Like all these bad and ill emotions, this mental trauma and damage to our physical body that we inflict on our, let's say people do this act. Okay, for me, you abuse this woman and then she's left to her vices, left without, all broken inside, and another man comes behind you. Now he has to deal with this broken woman, and it's going to take way more effort than it normally would to somewhat, I guess, communicate with her and, build that trust. But there always will be that trauma that she has to conquer. I know I'm rambling on, but short and sweet of it is, it's like, okay, we're putting all this negative energy into the universe, and it's not good for anybody. Because if we have all these hurt people gonna always hurt people. We need to love our women. We need to protect them. We need to treasure them. We don't need to hurt them. We need to respect her in every fashion. I feel like we need to revere them. Because I revere women. I have so many different women that in my life that has helped me to get to the position that where I am. And me, knowing that they see me as, I guess, one of the good guys, I can't really let them down by how I engage women, during my, as I date or any other avenue. I always have to come to a situation with respect, because I know that the women in my life are looking at me as an example of what kind of man they want to eventually be with. And I feel that, it's my responsibility to show, hey, there are good men in the world. Men that respect you, respect your mind and only want to edify your mind and not try to satisfy your body. We got to think of ourselves more than sexual beings. And we got to think men. We have to think of women more than just sexual devices that, you just pay $40 for, or you just wine and dine just to go get in between her legs. And we have to create the notion of how we, interact with the opposite sex. Because it can't be always men. It can't be always we just seeking women just for sexual enjoyment. Like, now if those situations arise and, it's a mutual agreement, then fine. But it's like, you can't, every situation, you're only pursuing this woman just for sexual pleasure. Like, you gotta be, something you gotta grow up in, and you have to be more than that, bro. Especially if you someone who wants to get married and settle down and have a family someday, you have to change your mindset. The first thing you have to do is realize that not every woman that you meet, you have to feel like you have to sleep with, man. Like, we gotta get out of that. It's like, it's cool that you have women as friends. They teach you a lot about you and a lot about how women are. I mean, I think a lot of us are lost to that fact. We think if we just throw money at them and throw gifts, that's it. But it's like, they seek a lot of intangible things than that, especially the ones that resonate on a higher frequency. So, sometimes they may not be able to express that, but intrinsically, a woman always wants security, and that's not always financially and not even physically either. That's on the emotional part, that's on the social part, that's on the spiritual part. So we have to play that role. Secondly, we gotta respect her demands and wishes. I think, if I take her on a date, that means I have access to her physically. Or if I pay for something, that means I have access to her physically. Like, we gotta evolve on how we see relationships. Now, let's say you go out on a date. You gotta just think it's just a date. You getting to know a person. You do the gentlemanly thing. So, like, you pay for the meal or for the occasion, and you keep it as that. Because if you go in looking for a good time and sexual pleasure, you're never gonna really be fulfilled. Like, how you building relationships? All you building is a path out of destruction, and no one really benefits from that. And then when, let's say, you get married to this woman, you always looking the sweetheart, or looking, she might not satisfy you like how she used to. Now you looking outside the relationship, and then you already have children inside the relationship, and you just causing more chaos because, you're only seeking after the flesh and you're not seeking after the spiritual things. And two, you're only viewing women as tools. Oh, you have the program, but you gotta throw away that thinking, because that's not conducive for us to build a healthy society. And as you can see, we are living with the fruits of that sort of thinking. Why do you think there's so much social decay? Why do you think there's so much broken homes and broken people? And we can't break this cycle of fractured families, because it all starts with this self-gratifying thing. And especially in the Bahamian society, like, and it just, I just, like, when I think about these things, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand, like, why is this keep on happening? Like, and then I can't really say, the women need to report these cases more, because a lot of these rape cases are never reported, people don't have their day in court. No justice is ever served. And, like, I can't ever see myself violating someone, period. let alone in that sort of manner. I have too much respect for myself and too much respect for women to even just like, even lay a hand without, making sure, like, even just a touch you on your shoulder. Even sometimes I get sort of nervous, even like when, like, say for instance, like it's carnival time, or like, you at a party, or, on a dance floor or something, and just to dance on something, I want to get your consent, because I don't want to have daughters live in a world where they feel like it's okay for men to violate them. Because, like, no, bro, like, you have to set the standard. We have to set the example that this behavior is not okay. It's not. Because if we keep on doing these things for men, and I'm a strong believer of energy. A woman is born with when she is born with every egg cell she will ever have in her whole entire life. So imagine you causing trauma to this woman. She's internalizing all this trauma and passing it eugenically onto her seeds, onto her egg cells, which in turn turn into kids later on. And then that same trauma energy starts to cultivate in those children, and then now they grow up as adults with the same broken energy, and they don't understand why. And that's how generational curses occur. I've seen situations. I remember one friend of mine was saying, she had, I think, either a grandmother or aunt sexually assaulted, and a lot of women in her family are always sexually assaulted, and she's been sexually assaulted multiple times. And it's like, wow, like, what's going on? Like certain, when I hear certain things, like, I just can't wrap my head around it, because it's like, like, and you had people would say, well, y'all always, like, idiots would be like, well, you keep on putting yourself in those situations. But it's like, bro, ain't nobody walking around looking to be raped. Like, that just, we have to improve as a society. It's like, wait, sickos. Like, I remember watching 13 Reasons Why, and just seeing, I forget what his name was, but he just was going around just raping. Like, what kind of behavior is that? Like, just going around raping drunken women. Like, there has to be something mentally ill with you for you to be doing that. But, like, I want to be an example of the difference. I want to cultivate a world where women are safe to go out. Wear whatever they want, depending on what situation and what event it is, but feel free to wear whatever they want and not be harassed and abused and ridiculed for it. Me, I want to be the prime example of how to respect women and how to uplift our women. It's time we uplift them. It's time that we heal them, because a lot of them are out here broken, especially our black women. A lot of them carry a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt. And you don't understand why she's so distant and she doing this and doing that. But if you sit down, talk to her, and get into her mind and try to understand where she's coming from, you'll feel the pain. And you just putting your problems on or hiding to it only gonna make the situation more tumultuous. Oftentimes when I think about this, I'm just left speechless. Because it's like, I feel often powerless in these situations, because it's like, what can I do? You know, just seeing my sisters be treated in this fashion and have these events happen to them. And, you know, not being there to comfort them, or don't even really know how to comfort them in these vulnerable times, or after these traumatic situations. You know, and just seeing the toll that it takes on them. And feeling like, you know, what can I do? I feel like right now, me talking on this podcast is the only thing I do, just to bring awareness to it. But I feel like, you know, if we as men, if we hold each other accountable and set a standard of how we engage women, you know, even from our verbiage, even how we view them, a lot will change. Because like I say, one day all of us gonna have daughters, and we already have mothers and have sisters and have cousins and aunties, that we wouldn't want the things that we do or say happen for another man to tell it to them. We wouldn't like that, so we shouldn't do that to other women. All I could do is just try to fight for change in the consciousness of my society. And like I say, you know, bring awareness to the situation. But I think it nearly needs to stop. We really need to look at this issue. Like, you know, because we can't be living like this with all these instances of, you know, and this sort of play into the equal rights, where how women are viewed in the workplace, and this unequal pay. None of it makes sense to me, to be honest. Like, all the sexual harassment happening inside these big public offices, you know, with politicians and high executives that are, I mean, it's like, it's disgusting. All of it is disgusting. Because it's like, she didn't ask for that. She just coming into work or going on a merry way, or just going to junk and no. And minding her own business. She didn't ask for you to touch her in that way. So why are you doing it? For what? Just because you feel like you're strong enough? You feel like you do that? Or just because you want to show your friends that you can, or how much bravado you have, or because you feel like you some type of bait player? For what? What does that do? That doesn't edify nobody, and it only brings more hurt in the long run. But let's do better. We gotta do better, because if we don't, it'll come back to bite us in the long run. And I'm always striving every day to make the world a better place. But let's respect her energy, respect her boundaries. No means no. Let's leave it like that. Well, Mudda's sick. Just leave it. Let's leave her alone. She ain't bothering you. Let her carry whatever world she in. Leave her alone. Don't touch her. Keep your hands off. Hands off, my G. Mudda's sick. You know, thank you for listening to this another episode of A Mudda's Sick. If you have any comments, you know, feel free to share, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You know, follow us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, all your favorite DSPs. And, you know, if you have any suggestions or topics that you want me to talk about, feel free to share that too. Also, if you want to sponsor an episode of Well Mudda Sick or any other content on the Original People Podcast Network, feel free to email us at theoriginalpeoplenetwork@gmail.com or just slide in our Instagram, or you can, message me personally. And I'll see you later. Goodbye.